It's Typewriter Tuesday. Let's journey into the past to see what writers of old used to use to ply their trade. What kind of mechanical beauty does Al have for us this week?
Welcome to this episode of Typewriter Tuesday, and this is a twofer. I've got two typewriters I want to share with you. One we've already seen as an individual episode, but I want to compare these two. We have before us an Olympia SM9. I say a Olympia SM9. They're both Olympia SM9s. One is earlier and one is a little bit later. The one here on the left from 1967. One over here on the right, 1971. Let's move in a little bit closer and talk about these two typewriters. Okay, I've had to move to a nice wide area so I can show both typewriters side by side. Anytime there's a discussion about writing on a typewriter, and by writing I'm meaning people who are going to write book-length work, long essays, substantial articles, those sorts of things, something that a professional might use, several typewriters come to mind. One of those typewriters is the Hermes 3000. That gets mentioned quite a bit. There are others, of course, from the older typewriters, like David McCullough used, Rod Serling, Ray Bradbury, the Royal KMM from the 40s. But the other one that comes up a lot is the Olympia SM9. Olympia, very famous and well-respected typewriter. They've been around a long, long time. They come out of Germany, West Germany to be specific, at this time. They had been in what would have been East Germany, and they decided they didn't want to be there, and they moved over to West Germany. And the East Germans didn't like that a great deal. Let's take a close look at these and do kind of a comparison. There's just several years between them, but they are wonderful, wonderful typewriters. And I have thought if I had to be reduced to one typewriter, it would probably be one of these. Of course, I would mourn the loss of the Hermes and the Torpedo 18 and a couple of Underwoods that I have. But if I really had to do my writing on a typewriter, it would probably be one of these. Now, first thing to notice, of course, is its size. It's fairly large. Can you really call it a portable? Well, you can put it in a case and carry it, so in that sense, it's a portable. But I'm not sure you want to just pick it up and cart it around with you all the time, because it's fairly heavy for its size. So it's sort of an intermediate. It's a larger portable or a smaller office machine, if you prefer. All right, let's do a little comparison here. And the first thing you're going to notice is this is a wide carriage over here in this 1971 Olympia SM9. Don't give that any thought. They also had standard carriages. It just so happens that when I got this one, this was the one I got with the wide carriage. Operation is pretty much the same. But you can see some differences. First of all, what I notice when I compare the two is the color. This is sort of an off-white. And the Olympia badge is done in this script. Now, they did some Olympias that had a script font, and I don't know if this is meant to mimic that, or if the font came after the logo here. I really don't know. But the color is a little bit different. This is sort of an off-white, and then if we look down to the side, you see a lighter gray. So it's nice two-tone. I think it's very pretty. You will find people commenting saying that they gave up on having any style in the typewriter. I disagree. I think these are very stylish, but they're more oriented to getting the job done than they are to pleasing the eye. But nonetheless, I think it's a very pleasing typewriter, as we'll see as we move these around. Over here, this Olympia is much whiter than the other typewriters. On this version of the Olympia SM9, the 1971, the case, which is a light metal case, is brighter. It's a much starker white. The trim is in gray. The accent color is gray, but a darker gray down here as opposed to the light gray here on the body. But the accents here are green, including green shifts. So there are some variation in it. Now let's notice something else that's a little bit different. There is no number 1 on this Olympia, even though it's called an Olympia Deluxe. Now it's called a Deluxe for other reasons. There is no 1. You see a plus and an equal sign where the number 1 would go. We jump over here in a few years, and this model with the dark keys, the very dark gray keys, has a number 1 with an exclamation mark. Well, once they did that, they realized they didn't need this exclamation mark over here next to the tab key. So really what they did is they swapped out keys. Where there was the plus equal on the 71, this becomes the number 1 with the exclamation mark, and the plus equals comes over here, so you lose the 3/4 and that exclamation mark. Of course, you didn't need that one because now you had 1 on the 1. So here you see the 1 with the exclamation mark. See, it's American keyboards. Over the number 4, there's the $sign. That's usually the first giveaway as to if it was intended for a U.S. audience. And then you see there's a plus and equals to the next to the tab key. Pretty cool. Now notice the position of the tab key. It's flush with all the other keys along here. But if we come over here, in the earlier version, the tab key is raised, so it's easier to see, and probably a little easier to hit with your finger. The way the tabs work are very interesting, and the reason is on this one, notice there is a clear, on the earlier one, the clear and a set. So you set your tabs right here next to the space bar. Very convenient, and it works very well. You line it up wherever you want it. Let's say we want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, set, back it up a little, hit the tab, and it goes to that there. It's very easy to get rid of by hitting the clear, but also both typewriters have a little lever over here. You can see it there, a little lever, and that clears all the tabs. Push that down and the tab will clear. So, just like that. Pretty spiffy, both of them have that. On this typewriter, the later typewriter, or I should say the newer one, it has the same plus minus as you do over here, but they're used for different things. So the body remained the same, the front, but here, notice as I move it, there's little clicks. This is the tensioner, the touch control tensioner. Over here, it doesn't do that. What it does is it sets the tab. So they use the same location, pretty much the same thing. This has a little plastic cap on it. They did that and really kept the basic body style the same. There's very little difference. One of the other differences is on the later one, this distance here from this line to the bottom is narrower than this one. Why would it do that? Because this one has the raised tab key. This one doesn't. And that's about it as far as the overall body style. Of course, you can see the presentation is a little different. This has the logo. It's the easiest way to recognize an SM9. It has this wonderful logo over here. Stark contrast to everything else, really like it. The Olympia in block sans serif font here. Or over here you just have simply the centered stylistic, the italic kind of script font, I suppose we should call it, on the front of that. A couple other minor little differences is the way the vibrator and the ribbon interact. You can see here there's a little hook. No hook on this, so the ribbon runs under the hook, which keeps it from rising too far. When we hit a key, so it gets lifted just properly behind these supports and guides, and then through that hook there. But over here it's a little different. It's just the vibrator here. You can see is just the whole thing is a hook. Works a little different. The rest of it is pretty much the same. Line spacing on them, you can go to 0, which means it just freely rolls. And then you have line, line and a half, and double spacing. Over here, you have really the same thing. Great paper bail. Pretty much the same thing there. So I'm really showing you all the things that are very similar, though they do have a few differences, but they operate basically the same way. One of the other things we should talk about, since we're talking about the typing portion, is these Olympias have half spaces. Normally when you hit the space bar on a typewriter, it will either move as you depress it or after you depress it. With the Olympia, it does it both ways. As soon as you press, I'll press it and notice the carriage moves half a space, you let go, it moves another half a space. Half space, half space. And that allows you to go back, erase a word if you left a letter out, and retype it, but do it in half spaces so that it fits on the line. Same thing over here, half space down, up, down, up. If you try that on some of the other typewriters, it won't do that. Now, I'm not saying it's exclusive to them, but nonetheless, there is that. The other thing is I like, and some people don't like this, but I like the way the whole hood lifts up. And you get in close, you see over here, there's a little locking mechanism that holds it up. It's like the hood of a car. Lets you get very close to it. Like it a great deal. Got nice metal ribbons on this one. I don't on the other one, the plastic. And it's easy to get to. You see the typical type basket that's there. And very easy to get in to do some of the cleaning that needs to be done. So that's pretty cool. This one does the same thing. Let me see if I can do this. Pops up, locks into place. This one needs more cleaning. I haven't fully cleaned it. But now you will remember that over here on this typewriter, I said the tensioner was here instead of the tab set because it had tab set down at the bottom. Here the tensioner in the later model is inside. So it's under the hood. Great action on these, great feel. The keys are just perfectly spaced, properly dished. It is a typer's machine. If you want to type a long document, you're going to do a book, this is the kind of typewriter you want to use. Unfortunately, it still has, as most typewriters do of this age and earlier, the apostrophe is up at the top. If you do much typing, especially if you're doing fiction, as I do, people speak in contraction, so when you're doing dialogue, you really want easy access to the apostrophe. And on typewriters, until later, there's a few that would have them, they don't have that. Let me see if I can spin this baby around to the side. It's got a great return, and you can see some of the detail, chrome work, just nice all the way around. In the back, we have a little badging going on down here, Olympia, and you'll notice the German name for it, made in West Germany, and it was handled by Intercontinental Trading Corporation in New York. Now, the only reason I bring that up is the other typewriter has a different company, so a few years later they had made a change. Let me get this turned around. Back here, now we get the badge goes into the back, and now notice it's the script that's on the front of that one. So that's part of their logo. And then down here we see it again, Olympia, and then the rest of the German name there, Olympia. And this says it's distributed by Olympia USA. So apparently they set up shop out of New Jersey. So wonderful thing there. While we're looking back here, both of these have what I like to call switchblade paper support. See, there's a little chrome plunger. You give that a push and it should go up. Let me go use this one. Apparently that one's jammed. And there it goes. Pops right up. So we turn back around here. See the clear all type handle there. There's a little plunger for the scaled paper support. So there's the 1967. I would have been learning to type about that year and hating every moment of it, and it turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened to me. Little did I know at the time I was going to be a writer. You never know how you're going to use what you're learning today. And then we have the 1971 here. Great typewriters, and they type extremely well. Fascinating, lovely font. You can see the font is beautiful. One of them has a new ribbon, so I got a much better type line. Everything lines up nicely to it. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dogs. Stupid dogs. The lazy dog jumped over the quick brown fox. Time flies when you're having fun. Time is fun when you're having flies. One of my favorite things is the numbers. I think they have some of the best looking numbers in the typewriter world. Very, very good. Well, there it is. The Olympia SM9. I wanted to feature this one in a Typewriter Tuesday, and I thought, I ought to compare them, even though I have already done an episode on this one, so you can look that up and we see the other things that I had to say about the Olympia then. But I thought it'd be nice to do the comparison between the two models, even though they're only a few years apart, but some of the design elements, and also just to sing their praises. These are wonderful, wonderful typewriters. I think these are lovely, though some people don't like them very much. They don't think they have the same kind of style. I think they do. I think it's a space age style, switch from the jet age and then all the things that came before. So I think they're very pretty typewriters and very, very functional. Well, there it is. Two kissing cousins. Olympia SM9, separated by just a few years, 1967 and 1971. Thanks for joining me here on Typewriter Tuesday, and we appreciate you watching. Thanks so much.